Hello, my name is Benai Wright. I'm a student at Colorado Christian University, and today we're going to be talking about some strategies you can use to encourage feedback from your students and trainees. When you're in front of a group of learners, do your classrooms ever end up looking like this? With a group of people who appear to be disinterested and maybe even discouraged? Have you ever asked yourself why? It's probably because you're not taking advantage of the feedback they're giving you. Well, it's good news. It doesn't have to be this way. As teachers and trainers, we're all blessed with the desire to see people grow, whether professionally or personally. At the end of the day, we want our classrooms to look more like this one, with a group of people who are both motivated and enthusiastic about the learning experience. By encouraging the students to provide feedback, we can give ourselves the tools to meet their individual needs. Now quickly, why do you think we need to obtain this feedback? Well, it gives us the tools we need to improve our programs. It allows us to respond to changes in the classroom and to unpredictable situations. It can tell us when our methods or approaches just aren't working. It can help us deal with what's important to our participants, our students, even though that may not be our major goal. And it can assure us that our objectives make as much sense for them as it does for us. My goal today is to give you all tools that you can take back to the classroom or training room that will help you to obtain feedback from students that will make you a more effective trainer. In order to do that, I've developed a list of 3 strategies. These strategies coincide with the different phases of training. First, we develop a list of frequently asked questions before we begin. We're going to use role play to monitor how trainees apply the learned material. This is in the middle. And then we're going to share the list of frequently asked questions with the class, sort of as a confirmation that through the course of the training, they received the tools they needed in order to perform better. For our first strategy, before class begins, students will be provided a handout. This handout will have 5 blank lines, and it will ask the students to either provide 5 questions they have on the topic of discussion, or they can list 5 expectations they expect to receive from the course. It can also be a mixture of the two. After the students have completed the questionnaire, you'll collect the forms and use it to build a list of 10 most frequently asked questions in the classrooms. And I can almost guarantee a lot of the students will have the same questions. Now this next step is most important. Save the compiled list for the end of the training. Let's not show the students their submissions yet. We are going to reassure the trainees that their questions will be answered naturally through the course of the training. Hopefully this builds some excitement and some anticipation to see if your prediction actually can come true. Now this next strategy reminds me of a parenting class I recently took with the Arapahoe County. These 2 great instructors used role play to act out a skit that illustrated the best way to effectively communicate a child's needs to their co-parent. Now in our situation, we as instructors won't be performing the skit or the role play, but our students will use role playing to simulate real-life scenarios in which they can apply their new learned skills. I believe this is best suited following the lecture portion of the training, obviously because they've received the new knowledge and the new information. And what we'll do is we'll break the class into small work teams, and it will utilize scripts that simulate real-life scenarios to work through problems that the training should solve. Now what we want to do here is monitor the work teams as they work through the scenarios that they're acting out. We pretty much want to ensure that they're properly utilizing the new learned material to work through their challenges. We want to allow these teams to overcome the barriers themselves as much as possible, but also provide guidance where critically necessary, essentially functioning as facilitators in this capacity. Our goal is to take advantage of our ability to understand indirect nonverbal communication. If we see a team struggling, if there's conflict, then we know maybe we have to step in and provide that feedback to the team. It's a reciprocal process. Now for this last step of the role-playing strategy, We would want volunteers to come before the class and address the class with the solutions that their team came up with. It's also critical that they share the challenges they face during the role-playing session. Now, receiving this feedback and the constructive assessment of this feedback is useless to us if we can't utilize takeaways. If we notice common areas of concern, we can modify and focus our training to meet individual student needs. I think a great example of this is the instructional video where the 6th grade teacher, Sarah Kaufman, utilized analytics in order to isolate individual student needs. She was able to group her students with others who struggled within the same areas, and therefore utilizing her time to help them where they struggled without holding other students back. Here, we can help students overcome barriers without being frustrated by the successes of others. Remember that list of frequently asked questions that we discussed at the beginning of this course? Well, now at this point, for the final strategy, we're going to share that list with the class. Our hopes here is that the class gets to see visually that all of the questions they had were addressed through the natural course of the class. What we want to do here is utilize direct verbal feedback by opening the class up for a short discussion about how the course did or did not meet their needs based on those 10 frequently asked questions. We don't want to get too deep into how the course didn't meet their needs, obviously, but hopefully this will allow us the opportunity to improve if we find that the questions were not answered. So finally, as we discussed, our goal for obtaining feedback from our students is to maintain an enthusiastic and motivated group of learners. This can be used through frequently asked questions list compiled at the beginning of the class, role-playing sessions where students are allowed to act through scenarios that mimic real-life situations, and then revisiting those questions in order to encourage a discussion about whether the course met their needs. Now, this course is no exception, so as promised, I will open up the class for questions or comments, concerns. Hopefully this training helped you, and if you do not have any concerns now, please feel free to contact me at my email, and I'll get back with you with any answers that you may need. And lastly, if you do want to follow up with some of your own research, a good place to get started is with this short reference list of documents that I used to compile this information. Thank you.